Hello. 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 My name is Beth Green, otherwise known as Granny Rocks, and
And I'm Sweet Baby James, otherwise known as James Maynard, and I'll be handling the chat tonight. And so please chat with us so we can chat back to you.
yeah, and look, we're on and we can actually see it. Wow, that's good for a change, right? Okay, so tonight I'm going to talk about something that impacts so many of us. And it's about anger. Why we so readily move into anger.
Mm.
Whether or not it actually works as a coping mechanism. So I'm going to try to set this up so it doesn't go into my mouth. And I can see already that I'm failing. So, perfect opportunity for me to get angry. Right?
Yeah, that's an opportunity, all right.
It certainly is. Okay. So I do want to talk about this, and I want to tell you that I don't have any plan for the show because I'm trying to talk into this. I have no plan for the show because I just got this question. I was thinking, what am I supposed to talk about tonight? And one of our viewers asked me the question, why do I get so angry so easily? Now let me see if I can get this headset on and actually give you an answer if I can. We already have a comment.
Oh, Tracy says hello and sends an icon of caring, an emoji of caring. Thank you, Tracy.
Great. Good to see you, Tracy. So, it's a very important question because our entire nation seems to be caught up in various degrees of anger and defensiveness.
Mm-hmm. Oh, Todd. That is a great question. Looking forward to what you have to say about it because that's me.
That's wonderful. Thank you. Thank you for acknowledging that. So, anger. It doesn't feel good on the inside. I think the first thing to acknowledge is that most of us actually feel better when we're not angry. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I feel that's true.
So, it's not like it's a good feeling. Oh, it's not like it's ice cream. We have another comment.
Elizabeth says, hi there. She sends also caring. Thank you, Elizabeth. Back at you.
So, the first thing I want to say is if you were to meet a bear, if you were walking around in a neighborhood that had bears, right? What do they tell you to do?
First thing is, don't run.
Don't run. We have another comment already.
Oh, Amy says, hi, you two cuties. This is a perfect topic because I just got angry with my housemate just minutes after she told me that she couldn't get a new room heater, parenthesis that I bought for her, to work. Didn't even read how to even turn it on. Then tell me it turns itself off within minutes.
Well, that might happen. It may depend on what temperature she has the thermostat set for.
For the heater, yeah.
Yeah, so maybe you need to go over the instructions with her and see what you can discover. Or, of course, it could be defective. But anyway, I'm not here to solve your heater problems, but I can understand, right?
So what's the order of the day for that? Compassion, trying to understand the
Well,
difficulty that this person has?
I would rather start with the question, Please reply to my whole message. Oh, look
Read
at
my whole
that.
message.
Oh, there's
Oh.
more. Okay.
Yeah, okay. I have a second unit I bought for myself, which is working just fine. Maybe hers is defective, but she isn't interested in trying mine. I guess I feel hurt that she doesn't want something I gave her.
Oh.
Oh, and then please read my
Oh.
whole message, right, which
Oh.
has now been read.
Yeah, that's a good point. Well, let me get back to that point, Amy, because I want to start with the bear. So, what we know from experience is that what they tell you, don't run, but that in fact you should make yourself look big. Aren't you supposed to
Right.
make yourself look big if a
Yes.
bear or
A
if
cougar.
a cougar look big? Is there anything that we can think of that we think is going to make us look bigger than anger?
Anger is usually the reaction of choice to sound powerful.
Exactly. Here we go.
Ah, Jim says, love you in Robin's Egg Blue, dear lady. All the best always. Thumbs up from Jim.
Thank you. You know what's really great about this? This is actually
Emerald green.
emerald
Right?
green, but on the screen it looks like robin's egg blue. So it's so fascinating how illusory things can be. You know, they look one way and they are
Something
the other.
else.
But
Yeah.
thank you anyway. I'll be happy to be any color if it makes people like how I look, right? So the first reaction to the bear is to look. I'm big. I'm tough. And I'm not scared of you. So a lot of us learned this behavior when we were children. Like, oh, I'm really scared. I'm really scared. But I can't show it because I'm going to get hurt, right?
Right.
Another reason that we may not want to show that we're really scared is that we may be humiliated for being scared.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go, okay, like a parent may be mean to us or be beating us. And we don't want to admit that we're being hurt, so we try to look big and look like it's not bothering us because we're not humiliated.
Mm-hmm.
So all of this kind of feeds the idea that we need to look bigger than we are in order to deal with something that feels threatening. Now, very briefly, I want to get to Amy's point, but I think I'll be talking about it more later. There's something threatening when a person that you care about won't consider what you're saying. You know, oh, is this going to damage the relationship? So that's one area where we feel threatened. Could you stop Lily from humping our dog, our other dog? So there is an implicit threat in somebody not listening to you or not trying to consider, what you're saying. It's like, okay, the first threat is I'm going to kill you. The other threat is I'm going to leave you. What other kind of threats do we?
I'm going to reject you.
I'm going to reject you.
I'm going to embarrass you.
Yeah, I'm going to embarrass you. I'm going to reject you. I'm going to cheat you. Oh, and then you're going to look like a fool. And
I'm going to be one up on you.
oh, yes. And so, what is the word? I think that really sums up a lot of these reactions is helpless. Helpless. I don't know what to do. I just don't know what to do. My new doggy, who's been very bonded and very nice and very loving, decided today he was going to follow James, and he didn't care about me, and I felt very threatened And I felt helpless because I've done everything I know how to do. Loving, feeding him, doing all that stuff. And I don't know what to do. Helpless, helpless. I really want something from that dog. And I don't know how to get it. Helpless. So one thing I may want is to get away with my life, right? But I might be wanting love, and I don't know how to get it. So helpless is a huge part of anger. So many people have talked about the huge swaths of Americans, and not just Americans, who are angry and are fighting back against some imaginary ill that they have suffered at the hands of black people or lesbians. I mean, they're really threatened, right? Helpless, helpless. I see the government is moving in to help these, underprivileged people. And I'm not going to get mine, and I'm helpless because I'm not of the right ethnic group or I'm not the right color, and I'm helpless. Of course, the people who are trying to get help have also been helpless. Hundreds of years of being discriminated against or enslaved, or women, my God, seems like women have been oppressed and enslaved forever, centuries, right? So people feel threatened, don't know what to do, and are looking for a way to fight back. Now, in that moment, they're not looking at it rationally. They're not even trying to understand. And then they find other people who will agree with them that will feed that anger, right?
We have another message. This is from Karen. She says, "Hi, you too. Another great topic."
Oh, thank you.
Thank you, Karen.
So I want to talk about helpless for a moment. So when I'm facing a bear on the road, I have to say I feel pretty helpless.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, ooh, that bear is going to get me, or that cougar is going to eat me up or eat up my dog or something like that, and I feel helpless. So as we are taught to do with the bear or the cougar, we try to make ourselves big, and we use anger to try to make ourselves bigger than we are. Bigger than we are. Now, if we started having those kind of experiences when we were children, we get into a habit. We actually think that if we can make ourselves big, maybe nobody will mess with us. You could be in the UK, in the Empire, and there's pomp and circumstance and what do you think, crowns and all kinds of titles. And then on top of that, of course, there's behind it all the gun. And so all those people who feel threatened are using intimidation tactics against us. So we have to figure out some way to make ourselves bigger and look bigger. And so, yeah, we are like so cool. We are so above it. We are so not scared. We are so powerful. Now, what is the problem with that? It makes perfect sense, doesn't it?
It sounds that way.
Well, because it doesn't necessarily work. Now, I am not going to say that force never works. Mm-hmm. Let's say you take that child, you beat it up because it's dissing you, right? And making you feel helpless. Okay, so you come home from work and you want your child to be goo goo gaga about you. And the child completely ignores you and goes to mama or the next door neighbor or the milkman. And so what are you going to do? You're going to try to force something because you feel helpless. Helpless. Helpless to get that child to love you. And getting angry at that child doesn't get the child to love you. It may get you to get it. You may get it to obey you, but it won't love you. So, what is going to help us to not feel helpless? You know, each one of us has to really look at our history and our belief system and ask ourselves, what is going to make me not feel helpless here? Sometimes it's just accepting the fact that, okay, that child or that dog is going to love somebody else more than us. And then we have to accept that. But inside, it feels so lousy because we feel so helpless about being loved and being respected. I mean, that whole thing about dissing us, and we have to look respected in our own mind. So how do we get to feel not helpless? We force the issue or we try to manipulate things, and we have another comment.
Blanquita sends hearts of love.
Thank you.
Thank you, Blanquita.
Now, wouldn't it be nice if in that moment where we feel helpless, the people around us had compassion for how we felt?
Mm.
I mean, wouldn't it be wonderful if somebody said to you, boy, I can understand why you feel helpless. You can't control that dog. You can't control that child. You can't control your wife. You can't control the stock market. You can't control anything. And we all feel helpless. And you say, oh, no, I feel more helpless than the other guy because I can feel my feeling of helplessness. Whereas the other guy looks big, looks like, he doesn't care. But actually, he's probably feeling helpless too. And is puffing himself up. And now our egos are inflamed. He is puffing himself up, and I'm looking like nobody, like I'm helpless. So it's not only the initial thing, where we feel helpless because for whatever reason, but also because we can't do anything about it. We feel helpless, and we know that no matter what we do, we look like damned fools. So if we were to take most situations where we get angry and we examine them, we will probably find that we are feeling helpless. Let's say, for instance, today we had a big altercation with a dog groomer. We really liked the dog groomer, but it was so expensive, and there were so many unexpected expenses. So what we wanted something from this groomer, we want them to do it, but we are upset because it's costing us so much money. Maybe we don't have that money. What can we do? What can we figure out? what we're left with is this feeling of helplessness. I can't make an agreement with this groomer. I can't afford the groomer. I want the dog to go to this groomer. Blah, blah, blah. And sometimes we really just can't afford to go to that groomer. But sometimes there's a way to work things out. But how can we work things out if we don't feel powerful, if we feel helpless? What's going to happen when we feel helpless? We get angry, we get demanding, we get puffed up, we start taking it out on other people, we drive onto the road right in front of somebody else to prove how big we are, don't we?
Yes, we do.
Yes, we do. Now let's say you're a pianist and you have somebody who's better than you. And you want to know what to do about it. Oh my God, this person is better than me. And I don't know what to do. Well, sometimes you just apply yourself and you get better yourself. And sometimes you say, oh, he's no good. You know, there's something wrong with him. So that way we get over the feeling of helplessness by pretending something about ourselves and something about them and putting them down. And now we have to justify the fact that we are putting them down. And sometimes we're just frustrated because things are just not working out the way we want to. But isn't that another example of helplessness? I don't know what to do. A lot of times we gather together with other people who feel equally helpless and we create a mob. Because alone we feel helpless, but together we feel like, oh yeah, we have lots of power. Oh yeah, we're all going to go storm the Pentagon or whatever we're going to do. So why is it so scary to recognize how helpless we are? The truth is, we are all pretty damned helpless. Because we can't get people to do what we want. Or institutions. So what does helpless mean? It means we can't figure out what to do. And the less we can figure out what to do, the more helpless we feel. The more helpless we feel, the more angry we get. I'm sort of stuck. Now, when we have been trapped in a behavior pattern where we feel helpless and we try to puff ourselves up and we use anger to do that, we will keep going back to that pattern. Even if it doesn't work. We don't know what else to do. Not only that, we're programmed. So we have to give ourselves the idea that maybe there's an alternative. No, there's no alternative. I have a right to be angry. Yes, I do. A reason, a right. And that person, that dog, that community, that business, those employees, they really need to do what I want them to do to prove that I am powerful, even if I am wrong. So sometimes we see someone who is able to tamp down their anger and see alternatives. And then what happens when you see that? You see the person coming up with alternatives, working it out, being in harmony with other people, learning things, discovering that you can be helpless. I mean, not helpless through negotiating, through being reasonable by listening to what the other person says. Oh my God, when we listen to what the other person says, sometimes we don't feel so helpless. Because if we come into it with the attitude that they are just totally irrational and we don't even want to know what they have to say, there's nowhere to go. But if we actually listen, maybe we'll find that there is some common ground. But no, I can't do that because I'm looking weak, I'm looking helpless, I'm giving in. Well, if we have the idea that working with people and trying to work things out with people and understanding everybody's perspective, if that makes us weak, we're not going to do it. No, no, no. I'd rather stay angry and get angrier, you know, because otherwise I'm giving in. And if I give in, that proves that I'm weak, that I'm powerless, that I'm helpless. Well, it doesn't. Sometimes it proves that we're smart, that we have brains, that we don't necessarily have to puff ourselves up with anger. You know, anger not only can make the other one angry, but also it can make us feel sick inside. Anger is a toxin. Now, it's okay to be angry every once in a while. Okay, something happened. I try to understand it. Yeah, that's no good. I need to address it. But by getting angry, I am proving that I am helpless. I am proving that I have nothing to say and nothing to do except try to puff myself up. And that does not make me feel good. It makes me feel weak and stupid. I don't know about you, but a lot of me, I have had that experience that I get really angry and then inside I feel really weak. You know, and I get tired and I get drained and I have nothing to work with. So let's try to think about what the other person is saying. Not assume that it makes us weak, but that it is our strength that allows us to think clearly. Now, sometimes the other person will not listen, will not negotiate, that they're too busy trying to prove how big they are. And boy, when you've got two people, two bears going, or they're gorillas, you know, somebody is going to back down, right? Or they're going to fight. And that's not going to feel very good. So why do we go so easily to anger? Because we go so easily to feelings of helplessness. Because we have not been taught how to cope with life in a rational, understanding, and compassionate way. We haven't been taught it. So many of us saw anger in our families, like the big guy or the big woman or the mother or whatever got her way because she was angry, and we say, that's it, that's the only way, that's the only way, that's the only way. Maybe it isn't. Let's open our minds and our hearts to the possibility that there's another way of life, another way to live, other than to get angry when we feel threatened, when we feel thwarted, when we're not getting what we want. that maybe we can talk. Maybe we can actually listen. And if we can listen, maybe we'll understand what the other person is saying. And maybe we can come to an agreement. So I want to tell you that I can't believe that our time is up already. And we are here every Wednesday night at 6:30. And I talk about some topic
Pacific
and I
time.
play the piano. 6:30 Pacific time. Thank you. And so I think that I would like to, and by the way, Thursday nights at 7 p.m. Pacific time, I play the piano. So I'd love to invite you to hear me just play the piano. So why do we go so easily to anger? Because we go so easily to feelings of helplessness. Most of us don't feel powerful. We were never empowered by others or by our families. We feel small, or there's somebody in our family that always made us feel small. And so we get like the kid who said, and so that's a lot of why we get angry. And the solution is to have faith in ourselves, in our ability to listen. Sometimes we'll win in the sense that we'll come to an agreement. Sometimes that agreement isn't exactly what we want, but maybe if we can listen really carefully, we'll hear, oh yeah, I get it. I understand what you're feeling. At that moment, we are not helpless. We have the power of our minds, our hearts, our understanding, and we feel powerful because we are capable of understanding. And that's a different kind of power. You know, the person who understands bear behavior is probably more likely to survive than the idiot who goes out there and just tries to kill. So I have to go. I hope this was helpful. I know a lot of us feel this, me included. So
There is one more thing I'd like to add.
yes.
We grew up in a society where we see anger a lot. And so we adapt to that. We figure that's a way to be powerful, like you talk about.
Mm-hmm.
And you've come up with the phrase, raging and fearful, we experience ourselves as real, because that's what we've seen as real. But aligned and harmonious, we tend to fear being lost in the oneness. And yet, when we cultivate being aligned and harmonious, we experience greater harmony and, like you say, greater understanding and greater inner power to really effectuate a positive behavior.
You know, when our egos are involved, we tell ourselves that if we look reasonable, we are being snookered. We are being dominated. Soft, but that's not true. That's just what you're talking about, James. A society that builds on anger feeds anger, and we're seeing more and more of it in our world on every side. Anger, 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 anger. And frankly, I think it makes us sick. And getting sick like that makes us truly weak.
Yep. Good.
Thank you for coming this week.
Yeah, happy
We
you could
love
join
you.
us.
Comment, share this program, like it, love it, subscribe to the channel. And if you want to, if you realize that you know this might be valuable to somebody, share it with someone who might benefit from it too. We'll see you next week.
Yeah.
Love you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.